The book I'd like to talk about today is "The Park Is Mine" by Stephen Peters. Um, this book is probably not talked about to the extent that it was at one time, um, because there was actually an HBO movie adaptation with Tommy Lee Jones in it. It's an excellent movie. Um, Must watch. I don't want to do a review of the movie in conjunction with the book because it really the movie needs its own treatment. Um, so this actual copy of this book that I have is interesting from the standpoint that it's actually signed by the author. I bought it used, and uh, the person that sold it to me didn't say that it was signed, so it was actually kind of a pleasant surprise. Another interesting thing about this copy is that it actually has hand-drawn maps of Central Park just inside the dust cover. Um, uh, and that makes sense from the standpoint that this book, the premise of the book, is actually about a Vietnam veteran who has taken Central Park by force. Um, um, he patrols it on a dirt bike, um, wielding an AK-47. He has this library of arms. He's booby trapped the park and then set up sort of like uh, a Vietnam style ad hoc fire base, one man fire base in the center of it. Um, it You can't really discuss this book without contrasting it with the movie, and there are some notable differences. Um, the His motivation in the book, it's not the same as it is in the movie. In the movie, he's actually kind of motivated by how veterans are treated and how actually people in general are treated. And he One of his Vietnam buddies actually commits suicide, and originally it was actually his friend's plan to uh, take over Central Park by force. Tommy Lee Jones actually adopts the plan in the movie, and does it on his friend's behalf. In the book, it's not that way. He's actually it's his plan, and his motivations are different in that um, it's actually pretty crazy. I mean, he misses Vietnam. He misses being a soldier. He misses soldiering, and he just he just thinks that it would be a wild ride, I guess, which is actually pretty fascinating. It's not what I thought because I actually watched the movie before I read the book, and uh, and it's actually probably more edgy than the movie from the standpoint that he's actually, in order to stay awake for long periods of time and stay alert, he's actually taking methamphetamines. Um, uh, this uh, that's not beyond the pale, as that was a common practice with the Wehrmacht and even British pilots during World War II, before it was really understood, um, the deleterious health consequences of taking huge amounts of methamphetamine. But so um, it the book is kind of the perspective is kind of shared between the main character and a news crew, um, headed up by a woman that actually penetrates the park in an effort to try to contact the man that's in control of the park. And she succeeds. And they kind of have an interesting, torrid, semi-romantic relationship at some point, which is also an interesting aspect of the book that actually occurs in the movie, sort of. It's an abbreviated version of what occurs in the book. Um, and um, so I guess the question is, what do we get? What do we get from this book as a reader? Well, um, the book is entertaining. It's fun, and I don't think you should take it that serious as a reader. Um, uh, it reads like an 80s action movie, which is actually one of its that's part of its charm. And uh, so this could be like, if you read something extremely heady, like, you read Thomas Pynchon or, Blood Meridian or something, where you have really heavy, dense prose or a heavy, dense story. Um, this could be like, a book you could, you know, uh, kind of take relax a little bit, and that's just fun. It's just a fun premise. It's a neat premise. Um, I actually wore, my New York Yankees hat. Uh, and if you've seen the movie, you would know why I'm wearing it. He actually wears, a New York Yankees hat, as he terrorizes the park, and so it's just a fun book. I think everybody should probably give it a try. I don't think it's, you know, uh, literary and any danger of entering literary Western literary canon. So it's like, but sometimes, I think people, take this reading thing a little too serious, and they can't just, read a book for fun, and that's really what this book is for. What do we get from it, from the standpoint as of writers? Um, it I think it's fairly technically sound. Um, certainly it's technically sound from the standpoint of, um, uh, the equipment and, the TTPs associated with, um, uh, the film recording crew, their equipment, how they conduct things, fairly fairly technically sound as it relates to armaments and, the tactics he uses in the park, um, uh, and uh, uh, the internal dialogue is pretty interesting. The back and forth that the character has with himself, because he's mostly alone for the book, and so he's, um, it's just interesting, some of the conversations and, um, the things that occur, the thoughts that he has, and uh, uh, so I think we could probably glean some benefits from it as a writer, and just again, it goes back to having fun writing about something that is an interesting premise, a fun premise. Um, that's really all I can say, um, uh, as far as, um, its appeal to both writers and readers. Um, so I guess, this is the part of the video where I'm required to shill, for my book, called Beset. It's available on Amazon, Barnes and Noble, and a bunch of other platforms. Um, um, you can actually get it on my website, which is, www.isaacwilhoy.com. There's actually a couple of different versions on there. Um, you can get, like a special edition version, that comes signed with a bookmark, a vinyl sticker, an art lookbook, and, of course, the book. And so um, the book will actually be a audiobook soon. I'll keep you guys updated on that. And until the next book review, uh, I'll see you. Bye.